Oh my god, sorry, I just burped. So disgusting. Hi. If this is the first video you're watching, then I'm assuming you're probably going to cut off in about a second after that. Today I'm going to be making a video which is kind of like a segue into one of the main reasons that I started this YouTube channel. If you've never watched any of my videos before, or you maybe might have missed some of the more personal vlogs, I am actually moving to South Korea in 3 weeks. I'm so scared. I mean, I'm excited, but I'm really scared. So one of the main things one of the main reasons behind my starting this channel was to kind of video my experience while I was home, the kind of transition into moving, the travels I was going to be undertaking before I moved, and then obviously continuing to vlog when I was over in South Korea. So I was having a conversation with my mum about the whole visa process, because when I tell you it's been stressful, like, it has been one of the most tedious, mundane, just like, it's so tedious. I can understand, like, there was a few times where I was like, is this worth it? Thank God that I am on the back end of everything. My visa application and my passport are actually both with the Korean consulate in London right now. So although I am really struggling with creating this video before I physically have the approved visa in my hand, I'm really trying my best these next few days to just try and like let go of the worry and really enjoy my last few days in Scotland. And I just thought, it's Saturday night right now, I didn't have plans this weekend, I'm going out tomorrow, so I figured while I'm sitting here and while everything's like so fresh in my mind, I figured I would talk about my personal experience with the visa application, the job application process for being an English teacher abroad, and things like costs and stuff. I mean, there are so many hidden costs, and I just think it's important, if you are considering teaching abroad, watching videos like this and really informing, like educating yourself on all the hidden costs, because I had saved what I thought was enough for my flights, my move, some travelling before, and honestly this visa process has probably cost me the best part of £400, and that's not even including me having to go and actually travel down to either Belfast or London. So if I did have to do that, it would be even worse. So I just think it's really important to lay the groundwork before you even think about applying. The first part I'm going to talk about in this video is my kind of interview process, which agency I've decided to go with, and where I'm going to be moving. Then I'm going to talk about the actual like bureaucracy of the application, and then thirdly I'm going to go on and talk about what's actually happening when I get to Korea. So here we go. I guess I should just give you like a brief history. Most of you already know, if you haven't seen, that I graduated like 4 weeks ago, a month ago now. I have lived in Scotland all my life. That's actually one of the requirements on the visa application and with the agencies and with the schools over in Korea. You have to be a citizen of a country where English is the primary language. So like the UK, South Africa, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. I think that might be it. I don't know. Sorry if you are from a country where English is the most, but you know what I mean. I have a master's degree, an integrated master's degree. You have to have at least a bachelor's degree to teach abroad, to teach English abroad. And then I think your bachelor's degree has to also be from a university where it's taught in English, basically. When I was applying for my visa, on the actual Korean embassy website, it says that if you attend a French speaking university, you can't basically you can't even apply for the visa. So that's just something to keep in mind, especially if you're at the stage where you think you want to be a teacher abroad and you're not even actually at university yet. It's a good idea to like plan in advance. What else? So I was in my 4th year of university this year. I started applying for graduate jobs like the very beginning of this year, like this calendar year. So like January, February, I would say like February really, I started applying for jobs all across East Asia. And I mean, I wasn't I've just turned 24 and I studied art history, and I really don't know what it is that I want to do with the field of study that I engaged in for the last 4 years. But I knew I wanted to live abroad, and I knew I wanted to live abroad in East Asia. Where in East Asia? I know that might sound like a little bit naive, but I really just didn't want to stay in Scotland, specifically in Europe, and I knew I didn't want to move to America or Canada. I love holidaying there, but just like for very many personal reasons, I just don't want to live there. So East Asia it was. So I guess I was kind of applying for like marketing jobs, things like that. I was applying for all my jobs through LinkedIn, and then I came across an opportunity in China to teach English. Now, most agencies require that you have a TEFL, so it's like teaching English as a foreign language certificate. There's like places you can acquire them basically in every major city across the world. I don't have that. If I did have to do it, I obviously could have done it in Glasgow, but I never had to. South Korea is one of the countries where it's not actually like integral to acquire a job. You don't have to have a TEFL. So and that was the case for China as well in my experience. So I applied for a job in Nanjing in China teaching English, and I applied for a job which I originally thought was going to be in Seoul in South Korea. I had interviews for both jobs and I got both jobs, but I decided to go with the agency Eclipse. It's a North American agency. I just found that the whole interview process was a lot more thorough. It seemed like they were, I don't know, I just kind of got the impression with the other agency that they were really just trying to like fill a quota, and I just thought if I felt unsure about the agency on this side, and obviously I'd done my research on the agencies online, I just had a bad feeling, so I decided to go with Eclipse, and from what I've read online, it's like one of the best agencies to go with. There are two like different schooling systems in South Korea from what I can understand. There's like Hagwons, which are public schools, and then there's private schools, so I'm going to be teaching in a private school. Beyond that, there's then 3 different types of educators for private schools. So there's iGarden, which is like kindergarten. There's April, which is basically like elementary school level, which I'll be teaching. And then there's Cheongdam, because I'm teaching for Cheongdam Learning, which is basically a secondary school. So I don't know what else to say about that. Something else to note about that as well is when it comes to holidaying for my schools anyway, in iGarden and April, you get a day annual leave for every month that you work. So I would have had 11 days annual leave. But for the younger groups, you also get all the public holidays, and I get a week off in January and a week off in July. If I had been offered a job at secondary level, I would not have got the public holidays or the 2 extra weeks holiday. So I'm really glad like the age group I was given, and to be honest, I think they've given me this age group because I think one of my age and 2 of my experience I've never taught, and if I was teaching 17, 18 year olds, I'm actually only a few years older than me, so I'm not sure how that would have worked. But yeah, I'm very happy. I have accepted a job in Daegu, which is like the 3rd largest city in South Korea, I think. And once, fingers crossed, once my visa comes back, I'll be booking a flight over to Seoul. I'll be staying in Seoul for I think 9 days doing my training, and then I'll be moving to Daegu on the Friday or Saturday, and then I'll start teaching on the Monday in Daegu. So that is just like a little bit about the actual like interview process and what I'm actually going to be doing in South Korea. When it comes to questions that they asked me in the interview, I found that Eclipse it was very much like any other job interview I've had. There was like kind of like circumstantial questions, like have you ever had to work as a team, have you ever had to work on your own, have you ever done something wrong and had to rectify it, loads of questions like that. Have you ever not got on with a team member, have you ever like led a team, have you ever had to work under someone, just like loads of questions like that. But I will say the other agency that interviewed me, it was like just very much a kind of getting to know me interview. What the interviewer for the other agency said, it was like they focused more on personality opposed to work experience and things like that. But from like the reasons I've said and then just some other reasons, I've never been to South Korea, and I just thought it would be a great excuse, a great opportunity for me to not only live in Korea, but on my days off I can like travel. I've never been to Japan, it's easier to get to Japan. So yeah, that's why I chose South Korea. So let me get my breath, because I don't know, I'm like panicking out still. Been doing this for 4 months and I still get panicky. And then I'll talk about the actual visa application process. Okay, so after the interview process, I was given the job. Like I said, I respectfully declined the job in China and I accepted my job in South Korea. So basically, like when I say I accepted it, they sent me like a kind of pre-contract contract. It was just like I had to sign it and say I accepted my offer, and the offer was just with the agency or just with the schooling system. It wasn't specific to a school. That offer came maybe 3 weeks later. So and then when I was offered that, I had to sign a health statement, a memorandum of understanding, and had to just give them like more information, like passport number, things like that, national insurance number, all that sort of stuff. And then I was actually not able to send all my documents over to South Korea for my visa code for, I want to say like another 6 weeks, and this is why. When I give you the list, you'll understand why. So I had to send 6 documents, that's not 6, so I had to send 6 documents over to South Korea in order for them to apply for a visa code. So the 6 things I had to send over were, number 1, an E2 health statement. E2 is just the visa like type I'm applying for. And within that there was like a drug declaration form. It asks you questions about mental health, things like that, and then obviously like physical health as well. Number 2 is a coloured copy of your passport on like the proper page. Number 3 was 2 passport sized photographs. Number 4 was a hard copy of my CV or resume, depending where you're watching this video from. Number 5 was a notarised and apostilled copy of my university degree. I had to wait until June 27th before I had my degree, and then I had to send it away to get apostilled, so that's like really why everything took so long to send. And then number 6 was an apostilled copy of my police background check. So that's the 6 things I needed. And now let me kind of like go into everything in a little bit more detail and talk about the prices of everything. So obviously, copy of my passport, copy of my E2 health statement, copy of my CV, they were all free. Had to pay, I think, £10 to get new passport photos taken. You actually need another photograph for the visa application, so I would have, and then you need, I think, 2 or 3 more for your like alien card when you get to Korea. So if you are going to be getting passport photographs taken, I suggest you pay for 2 lots, so you have like 8 photographs, because you just need to pay again at some point and then it's just hassle, so just get it all over in the one go. So I think that cost me £20 to get 8 photographs. Then if you're not sure what apostilled means, it just means that you send an official document away to the Commonwealth Office, and they kind of give it a stamp and sign it and say that it's a legitimate document. So if you're in the UK, that costs £30 per document. So I had to pay £30 for my degree, but I had to also get a copy of my degree notarised, and that just means like authenticated. It has to be notarised by either a notary public or a solicitor. I paid £30 to get it notarised, and then £30 to get it apostilled. So that was £60 plus postage. And then for my ACRO application, which was my criminal background check, I left it very last minute and had to pay the kind of premium fee. Normally a criminal background check with ACRO costs £45. I paid £80, stupidly. And then I had to pay the £30 to get that apostilled. So all in all, to get everything apostilled, it was 110 plus 60 plus £5.50 for postage. So what's that, 100 and, I don't know, 165.50, 175.50, so quite a bit. Then I had to use a courier to have everything sent over. So basically I was advised not to use the Royal Mail because from what I've heard, everything gets held up at customs. So I used an American courier, so I used UPS. It cost me £54 to have everything sent over, and that was a 2-day service. So I sent everything on Wednesday afternoon, and obviously Korea's 8 hours ahead of us, but it was still in Korea by Friday afternoon their time, so actually only took a day and a half for everything to get, which is mind-blowing because it's literally 5,000 miles away. And then on the Friday afternoon, my liaison in South Korea sent everything away to the British Embassy over there, or Korean immigration over there, I'm not really sure who they sent it to, and my visa code came back last Friday. So I now have my visa code, so that means I can actually apply for my visa with the Korean embassy in Britain. It's very convoluted, you know what I mean? Like, it's very complicated. So on the Korean embassy's website, there's another bunch of forms you have to fill in. So I think there's maybe like another 6 things you have to send over there. So number 1, you have to send your passport because they need to put a page in. Number 2, you have to send a coloured passport photograph. Number 3, you have to fill out something called the consul's checklist. If you basically just Google, like, I don't know, what did I Google? E2 Korean visa for UK citizen. Just go through the Gov.uk website, make sure everything you're applying for is through like the appropriate channels, because you can either get like an inflated price or you're basically giving money for a service you're not going to get. Just make sure you do everything through like the legit websites. So yeah, and then obviously the visa application itself, you have to send your visa code. I think it begins with 4 letters and then there's like 7 numbers or something at the end. And then the last thing you have to send is the visa fee, £154. That is an over 91-day visa with single entry, and from what I've learned speaking to the consulate, once you get to Korea, they can issue you with a multiple entry visa for an additional fee, which I think is like £55. You have to send everything recorded delivery, which is, I think it costs like £7. And then inside your envelope you have to put another envelope with another recorded delivery stamp on it, and write your home address so they can send your passport back to you. Another thing, if you're Scottish, Northern Irish or Welsh, you have to pay in English notes. That's just something else to note. So the visa cost was £154, and then I had to pay £14 for postage, so the visa cost £168. And that's it. It's away and it should hopefully be back any day this week. And then basically what happens now, when my visa comes back, I just let everyone over in South Korea and my like liaison in Canada know, and then I just book my flights. I would just highly recommend don't book your flight until everything's a-okay, because flights to Korea are not cheap. I already recorded this outro, but I guess I had a full memory in my phone, so here I am again. So I know I kind of touched on it at the very beginning of this video, but I hopefully, when my visa comes back and my passport comes back this week, everything's packed. If you haven't seen the packing video, I'll put a little card up here, because I think it's like quite helpful for anybody that's decided to move abroad, whether you're teaching or regardless of what country you're going to be moving to. Everything's packed, so basically I am gonna, the day I get my visa, I'm gonna book my flight for the next day. So it's really just a waiting game. It could come any day this week. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. I'm going to be spending 2 weeks in the US. On the East Coast, I'm going to Boston, DC, New York and like staying in Jersey, and I might be going to Connecticut as well to visit with family. So I think that's about it, and then I'll be flying to Seoul, training there for a week, and then moving to Daegu, where I'll actually be teaching. When I get there, I know this isn't really the case for Hagwons because I've actually met someone already who's going and going to move to Daegu the same time I am, but she's teaching in the public sector, whereas I'm in the private sector. So my agency have kind of arranged like a training week for me and everyone else. They do it in like waves, so for every Monday, sorry, I had a low battery notification. So every Monday in August, basically, they have their new teachers come and do a training week. So we say in Seoul, they give us lessons or like workshops on lesson planning, the curriculum, how to kind of interact with the children, how to like handle the children. And if you're wondering as well, I cannot speak a lick of Korean. I downloaded Duolingo yesterday, so I'm going to spend the next 3 weeks trying to kind of learn the very, very basics. But in my case, I have a teaching assistant who is Korean but is also fluent in English. So the children I'm teaching basically learn English from a very, very young age, so they already kind of have a grasp of the basics, which is why I'm trying to kind of grasp the basics of Korean. I'm hoping in this field of work that it will kind of abet me in learning a little bit more Korean. But yeah, I'm very nervous, but I'm very excited. I've been watching a lot of vlogs and videos of people who've done this in the past, and just trying to kind of educate myself and prepare myself as best possible. I also have a few friends that are primary school teachers in Scotland, so I've kind of asked them for little tips. I do know that from what I've read online, I guess this doesn't really affect me because I'm not a teacher and I've never taught before, apart from like private tutoring, but basically it's pretty strict in the curriculum. I understand if maybe you've taught in another country, or you or maybe want to be a little bit more innovative with the curriculum. I know that for my programme in particular, they like you to adhere to the curriculum that they've set up. So yeah, I'm starting teaching. I'm starting in 4 weeks, 4 weeks on Monday. So yeah, if you've ever done this before, if you have any tips, if you have any pointers, if you have been through the visa process like myself, if you're from a different country and you have a different experience, please do let me know in the comments below. And if you have ever even travelled to South Korea and you have any tips, tricks, ways to get around, things, food I need to try, please just let me know, because I really want to soak up as much of the culture as I can. And for me, that's going to include learning the language. I really love learning new languages, and I can speak a fairly decent amount of French, Spanish and Italian. I know Korean's a little bit of a jump, but I don't know. I feel feel invigorated to learn again now that university is over and I've had some time to like decompress. So I'm blabbing now. So thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope this gave somebody an idea of like the process, and I just want to add that when I tallied everything up, the total for the costs came to £322.50, and that's considering the lower fee for the Acro Police background check. I have actually paid £360 basically for this application pre-flights. So if you are thinking about doing this, please keep that in mind and make sure you include that in your saving plan for your move. I will see you on Tuesday for my last ever Scottish vlog. It will be kind of almost saying goodbyes. I went down to the borders, had a beautiful weekend with my family last weekend. I'm going shopping tomorrow for some last minute things before I leave, and then I'll be heading to the States at the end of the week, and then I'll have finally some travel vlogs, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye.